in the Seagram's block of Oshawa, Ontario. I'm an idol.
Don't be scared, homie. Come on. Okay, first of all, the world is smiling at you. The wrestling business is smiling at you. And don't you frown back on it.
Surprise, surprise, motherfucker. The king is back.
The man to hour, the man with the power. Too sweet to be sour.
Dylan Bowker.
On this episode of Bouts Talking Bouts, I am talking to TJ Laramie. Has a big fight coming up against Charles Jourdain. It's going at TKO 41 for their vacant featherweight championship. How's it going, TJ?
It's good, man. How about you?
I'm doing just dandy. I was wondering what your confidence level is going into this fight, though, because it seems like you've been building up quite a streak there with the Jimmy Spikuza submission there. I mean, you did have the Alex Morgan stoppage before, but I feel like a lot of people, saw that as like a contentious sort of stoppage. You seem like you've been getting a lot of momentum heading into this fight. So where's the mentality at heading into this big bout?
Honestly, I've never been more confident for a fight in my entire life. With the way training's been, I honestly, there's no doubt in my mind that I'm going to be the champ by the end of this week.
And is this a fight you always saw to be happening? I mean, you go in there with Charles Jourdain, because you guys have been very highly touted prospects, guys who have been really in the spotlight, and you guys have been called future champions, all the way back to your amateur days. So does it feel, I don't know, what's the feeling with the fight coming up here? Does it feel like this was, invariably going to happen anyway, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, he's fought on every single TKO card I fought on so far, and with the amount of hype and stuff he's gotten and the amount of exposure I've gotten as well, the last event we both fought on together, he was the main event, I was co-main event, and it just seemed like it was bound to happen eventually. And I could just tell by the way, especially the way they were building him up, with the opponents they were giving him and stuff like that. It was just like they're aiming for him to fight for the title for sure, 100% at the end of the year. So. But with me, I got my side of the job done, so I knew I was going to be fighting for the belt eventually, so I just figured it'd be against him.
Yeah, absolutely. And it seems like there's a little, mental warfare or something going on in his part. He's trying to take his shirt off for, the stare down, and, his girl is commenting on your Instagram pics and stuff like that. Was that kind of a weird aspect you didn't think would happen?
Honestly, that stuff's just funny to me. It doesn't really bother me, to be honest. It's kind of embarrassing, if anything, on his part. He's acting a little bit out of character, so it just shows that he's pretty nervous, you know what I mean? For anybody to be acting out of character like that, or to be going out of their way to cause problems or something like that, you know what I mean? It means that I'm on their mind. So honestly, I haven't really paid much attention to what he's doing, except for the fact that I just think it's pretty funny.
Yeah, no, and it seems like you've had a lot building up to this moment. I mean, some of the wrestling experience you've had to be in, the runner-up with OFSAA there, the tournament, your kickboxing experience, just no-gi jiu-jitsu champion in California. It seems like you were just knowing that MMA was the end goal from a very early point there.
Yeah, so when I first started, that was basically it. I started with the main goal of being an MMA fighter, but in the meantime, I just honed all my skills separately. So that's why I went in and I tried to become the best kickboxer, which I did. I never lost in kickboxing. And then I went in and tried to be the best grappler, and then I won the worlds there. And then I tried to be as best I could at wrestling. I couldn't get that done, but at the same time, I was still able to develop all these skills early on, and then be able to put them together when I became of age to turn pro, play MMA.
Yeah, and you've had quite an interesting career so far. I mean, that Fight Exchange show that was going on was really cool, too. Going over to Japan, training there, and it culminated in your Pancrase debut, which you ultimately won there. So you really seem like you're, striving to make a big impact in this sport. I mean, you literally left the country to a foreign nation where presumably you don't speak the language. I don't think you speak Japanese, but...
No.
But no, it's it shows the depth of your commitment to it. So that's cool, and it's manifested itself in this moment. But I wanted to talk about the TKO point system a little bit, because I found that to be kind of interesting there, just in as far as how it ties into maybe what's happening in the future there. Do you see yourself fighting Alex Morgan again, just based on the TKO point?
Yeah, so I don't know. This is what I got out of everything. So after I win this fight on Friday, Alex Morgan and the guy he recently lost to have the same amount of points on the scoring system, But according to the new rules of the scoring system, you can't have a title shot off a loss or something along those lines, or you can't be given a title shot over someone you've lost to, something along those lines. But but I could see them also like bending those rules and being like, oh well, Alex Morgan beat TJ, so we're gonna do this rematch instead. So I'm either gonna be fighting Morgan or the Brazilian who beat him. But either way, it doesn't really matter. I'm ready for both. I'd love to fight Alex Morgan again, and I'd love to fight that Brazilian too.
Yeah, for sure. And I was seeing some prior interviews in certain media where I believe this is the last fight on your TKO contract. Is that correct, or did you re-sign something?
I did re-sign for 3 more fights after this one.
Okay, because I saw you had a plan to be in the UFC before you were 21. That's kind of been a talking point you've had for like a couple of years a little bit now. Do you still see that kind of manifesting itself, that you'll be in UFC by the age of 21?
100%. So, like, we talked to the promoter of TKO, Stephen Patry, and, like, eventually, promoters like that have no problem releasing fighters to an organization like the UFC, because at the end of the day, it's better for their organization, you know. It shows, because TKO is not trying to be the next UFC. They're not trying to compete with UFC. So, by, like, saying having me as their champ leave the organization to go to the UFC, it just shows that, like, you know, their slogan is "We build champions" or something along those lines. So it only makes sense to release someone like me to the UFC, and it makes their organization look good because it shows, like, hey, look at the fighters we develop and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And they have been doing really great with that grooming process for a lot of talent. And I think you're one of the bigger names that's kind of come up with what they've been doing there. I mean, it's culminated in what's a huge card here. I mean, they're back at the Bell Center, TKO is, and they're going to be broadcasting on UFC Fight Pass and the Fight Network. There's multiple title fights on this card, but you're the main event. So it seems like a good end result of what they were doing there was grooming certain talent there. Do you like being in this position? Does this sort of like really excite you and give you that extra energy going forward?
You know, like, it's been super motivating to be the main event, to have the show kind of on my shoulders. But at the end of the day, the fight's a fight. So it doesn't matter if I was the first fight or last fight on the card. I have, like, it's the same task ahead of me. It's pretty cool getting the spotlight like that because I feel like it's, like, well-deserved, in my opinion. I feel like I've definitely earned the opportunity, but I treat everything like a privilege when it comes to fighting. So, what I'm gonna make the most of every single second I have in the cage that night.
Yeah, no doubt. And you're talking about some of the other spots on the card, and as far as like you'd be cool with, you know, being the opener as well and everything like that. But I saw your brother Tony is going to be on the card as well. Do you like that dynamic? Because I know some brothers aren't necessarily keen on that, like the Pettis brothers. I don't think really like that. But do you like having Tony on your undercard there?
Honestly, like, it doesn't really make a difference for me at the end of the day because, like, when it comes down to fight day and stuff like that, I'm so focused on me, it doesn't really matter. Everything else is just kind of background noise. So, like, this is the most selfish sport in the world, I think. So at the end of the day, like, what happens to other people, what could happen to other people, you know, it doesn't faze me. I have my career to look forward to, and that's about it.
No, that's definitely a good point to make there, though, man. And I was kind of wondering about who you've been working with in this camp here. I mean, the head coaches, Reno Belcastro, Mark Hominick, just great experience there. But I also see you've got to train with certain Team Alpha Male guys and get certain looks like that. So who have you had in this training camp?
So, like, biggest guys in this training camp for me were definitely some my Southpaw teammates. So we had I've been training at Michigan Top Team a lot with Cody Stamen and Darren Cruikshank and the whole crew there. So, like, that's been a huge help to my camp, especially having Cruikshank to spar with. He's been probably my main sparring partner for this training, and especially given, like, you know, his kind of style, similar to Charles a little bit in the fact that, like, he throws lots of kicks. He definitely has a little kind of a unorthodox striking approach, and then Kyle Preplik, who's just a big 155 lightweight southpaw who I can you know, work with. Like, if I can take Kyle down, you know what I mean, taking Charles down is going to be no problem. So working with guys like that, those have been my two main training partners. So we have Kyle and Cruikshank, and then Reno, of course, has been a huge help. He's like my main coach pretty much. And then we got my other coach, Dino. He really he makes sure my conditioning's on point. He's always put me through hard workouts and putting me through some great drills, you know, to keep me sharp and stuff throughout camp. And he really gets my conditioning to the point where it's like 5 rounds at this point right now. Honestly, feels easy. Like after like every time the next round starts, you know, I feel like the fight's just restarted pretty much. I feel like super energized, and I feel like I could go 10 rounds right now, you know, like, so conditioning is not even close to a factor for this fight. I know I'm going to be the more conditioned person, you know. And then we got a big thing that changed too is I added a little bit of strength lifting because for this weight class I've kind of always been a little bit smaller. So adding a little strength, because I'm still young, I'm only 20, so adding a little strength lift with my buddy Ben Graham there and some conditioning with him as well is definitely it's all compiled together to be a really great formula, you know. So I believe this fight you're going to see a completely different TJ Laramie.
No, it's cool you're adding those new touches too, and I know you've sort of like hemmed and hawed about the idea of going to 135, but it seems like you're making certain efforts to adjust to, you know, optimizing what you're doing at featherweight. So that's really cool there. It shows good foresight.
Yeah, for sure. You know, competing at 135 just really isn't realistic at this very moment. You know what I mean? So the best thing I can do is just build myself for the weight class that I'm at and see where we go from there. Because like I said, 130, like I said before, previous in a couple other interviews, like 135 was doable previous when I was a little bit smaller, but I've just gotten bigger. I've grown into my body. You know, I went from fighting professional at 17 to now I'm 20 years old. And, you know, I've developed a lot since then.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely get what you're saying there. But I also think your social media game's pretty entertaining there. Like I saw you was retweeting Norm Kelly there. He's losing the trunk of Young Metro. Like someone said, "Oh, what's your biggest fear?" And that's sort of your response there.
Yeah, I love the Twitter. Twitter's one of the best apps out there, man. That stuff's hilarious. Some of the stuff on there, you know, I don't even like there's some stuff on Facebook and stuff, like some crazy people sharing like flat earth theories and all this shit. I'm just like, I just gotta share it, you know, see what people say.
One of the things you retweeted that made me howl, though, you're like, I remember in elementary school when people would sing, I believe I can fly, I got shot by the FBI.
Yeah.
Because I remember that, too. I was like, where did that even start?
Yeah, that's hilarious. You know, it's like when people tweet little things like that, it's like what the hell, like you know what I mean? It just rings bells in your head and like clicks off memories, and it's just like, that's crazy that other people think about that too. Yeah,
no, it was a funny thing there, I thought. And it also seems like you're a bit of a pro wrestling guy there. I saw you retweet a Hulk Hogan tweet where he was calling out The Rock for them to run it back again. I think I saw you were with CM Punk in one picture. So are you into pro wrestling or?
Not really too much. Like, I think it's like pretty entertaining, but at the same time, like, I just think those tweets are pretty hilarious because, like, the Hulk Hogan thing was they tried to demolish the Pontiac Silverdome and they failed. There was a video of them just like they set off all the detonations and then nothing came down. So that, and then he tweeted, he's like, if you need help taking that place down again, we can run it back or something like that. Yeah. So I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, he tweets funny stuff. One of my favorites was when he was talking about how drunk he was or whatever. He's like, only drinking water and iced tea from now on, brother. HH.
Yeah. The best is how he signs off on every tweet.
Yeah. Definitely loves dropping the initials on that one there. But I was also curious as to, like, if there's like any go-to, like, artists or genres that you like to jam out to while you're training, or even just music you like to listen to in general.
Like, when I'm running and stuff, I listen to like a lot of the same music, you know. It's more kind of like I listen to Eminem, like Tupac, DMX, like who else? Listen to like Kendrick Lamar, someone else. I've been listening to Russ too. He's pretty good. He's new, but he's pretty good. Listen to The Game. The Game has some pretty good songs to train to. I don't really listen to some of the new shit like Lil Pump and all that. I don't really vibe with that kind of music. I think it's weird. But,
no,
yeah,
that's cool, man. I mean, you like what you like, and that stuff is definitely like a fire up. Like, I know when I put on One Blood by The Game, like, it gets me in a good mindset to be putting in the work there. But yeah, is there anything you wanted to add as we're, you know, wrapping up here? You've been good with your time, man.
Not really, man. Like, if anyone wants to follow me on the social media, you know, keep up with everything I'm up to, you can follow me on Twitter at Laramie TJ, and then on Instagram at TJ Laramie. Or you can visit my website, and all the social media links are there at tjlaramie.com. So all my sponsors are also up on there, so check those guys out.
And everyone's got to be checking this fight out. Like I said, it's available on Fight Network, but also UFC Fight Pass. It is TKO 41 champions taking on Charles Jourdain, featherweight title, the vacant championship there. Thanks for the time, TJ, and I'll be checking out the fight. Best of luck, man. Enjoy the rest of your day.
For sure. Thanks very much. Thanks for having me.